Final reflection. The journey of inner change. Every meaningful transformation begins with a moment that feels uncomfortable. A realization, a piece of feedback, a situation that challenges the story we have been telling about ourselves. At first, the mind tries to protect the identity it already knows. It denies the new reality. It resists the implications. It negotiates for small adjustments that allow the old identity to survive. But eventually, there comes a moment when the old explanations are no longer enough. That moment can feel uncertain. Confidence may temporarily decrease. The future may feel less clear than before. The familiar structure of identity begins to shift. Yet this moment is not a sign of failure. It is the beginning of transformation. Throughout this course, you have explored the internal stages that often accompany change. You saw how denial acts as the mind's first protective shield. You saw how anger and resistance emerge when identity feels threatened. You saw how bargaining attempts to preserve the past. Through partial adjustments, you explored the collapse stage, the moment when old assumptions begin to dissolve. And finally, you discovered integration, the stage where a new understanding of yourself begins to take shape. These stages are not weaknesses. They are evidence that your mind is learning. Human development rarely follows a straight path. Instead, growth often unfolds through cycles of questioning, adjustment, and renewed clarity. Each cycle expands our understanding of who we are and what we are capable of becoming. What once felt like instability gradually becomes insight. What once felt like loss becomes learning. And what once felt like a threat to identity becomes an opportunity to redefine it. The most important realization from this journey is simple. Your identity is not fixed. It is something that evolves as you gain experience, knowledge, and perspective. Every time you encounter a challenge that forces you to rethink your assumptions, you are standing at the beginning of another possible transformation. Some people spend their lives protecting a rigid identity. Others learn to develop a flexible one. A flexible identity does not collapse when reality changes. It adapts, it learns, it grows stronger through experience. That is the identity you have begun to build during this course. Not an identity based on certainty, but one based on awareness. Awareness of how your mind reacts to change. Awareness of how growth actually unfolds. And awareness that transformation is not something to fear. It is something to navigate. As you continue moving forward, new challenges will inevitably appear. Some of them may once again trigger the familiar stages of change. But now you will recognize them. And recognition changes everything. Because when you understand the process, uncertainty becomes easier to face. You know that moments of instability are not the end of the journey. They are often the beginning of the next stage of growth. This course was not about avoiding change. It was about learning how to move through it consciously. And now that you understand the inner stages of transformation, you carry something valuable with you. The ability to observe your own development, the ability to remain curious when certainty fades, and the ability to rebuild your identity whenever life invites you to grow again. Your journey of change does not end here. In many ways, it has just begun.